Since 1950, more than 70,000 chemicals have been introduced into our environment. Few have been tested for their toxic effects on humans. We are conducting a massive toxicological assault on the American population, and our children and our children's children are the experimental animals.
I'm Gene Cernan, and as commander of Apollo 17, I was one of the lucky few to have seen our planet from 250,000 miles in space. Earth, our home, wrapped in a thin, life-sustaining atmosphere. It's simply overpowering. And like all Apollo missions, Apollo 17 was a testament to American resolve and know-how. Today, however, I've become aware of another mission, one that may be as challenging as my flight to the moon. It's a mission to alert mankind to the pollutants and to the toxins in our environment that can devastate human health. This is a mission I'm urging you to get behind, because if we don't, this world we call home could be plagued by a host of environmentally linked diseases that could dwarf any we've yet known.
Modern technology has provided mankind with incredible advances and benefits. At the same time, it has introduced an unforeseen burden, the proliferation of dangerous pollutants and chemicals into our environment. Toxins are hurting our health. Chronic disease continues to rise at an alarming rate. Many scientists project that unless we act now, environmental illness will be the epidemic of the 21st century.
There's hardly a disease that is either not caused or exacerbated by the environment. Now, there are diseases that have both a genetic and an environmental component, but there is, in most cases, an environmental component.
There is a great increase in our population over the last 10 to 20 years of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or Lou Gehrig's disease. And most of us know people or have people in our own families who have various dementias or cognitive disorders.
The fact is that there are many people, millions of people, that are suffering from this disease, including children, in a variety of subpopulations in the United States that seem to be very susceptible to this kind of disease, including minorities such as Hispanics, Afro-Americans, and the young and the elderly people.
No one is immune from the devastating effects of environmental illness. Studies indicate that its impact has been grossly underestimated. In the past, victims had nowhere to turn for help. Their symptoms could be managed, but few treatments and cures existed. They stood alone. That is, until today.
Well, a few years ago, when I was an organized crime prosecutor, I had gone out into private practice, and I moved into a building and was exposed to various chemicals that caused me to become ill. This is otherwise known as sick building syndrome. And in my quest to regain health, I began talking to America's top scientists. And what I discovered was that there's very little known about environmentally related disease. I learned that this is true because there's very little research. And I learned that there's very little research because there's very little funding. My personal story is just a tip of the iceberg of what's happening all over America. And it is this void and this need that inspired the birth of the Environmental Health Foundation.
Many worthy environmental organizations protect our oceans, forests, and wildlife for our future generations. But what about you and me right now? The Environmental Health Foundation fights disease caused by pollutants. We fund research to find treatments and cures. And through education, we empower people to modify their lifestyles and prevent environmental illness.
In 1995, the foundation launched its national research campaign by organizing the Environmental Health Summit. Many of America's finest scientists from the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, the Environmental Protection Agency, and top university medical centers across the United States convened in Arizona for this historic event.
This conference will stimulate the activities of this Environmental Health Foundation to create a mass movement in the United States that's concerned with developing a research agenda to really wage a war on diseases that are caused by toxic agents in the environment.
They accomplished their mission of identifying the biggest environmental health concerns facing America today and designing a national blueprint to prevent, treat, and cure diseases caused by pollution. The Foundation's Scientific Advisory Board ensures that the most promising opportunities to find cures are aggressively pursued. Cutting-edge research is already underway at prestigious medical centers throughout the United States. 1 in every 6 preschool children has unsafe levels of lead in their blood.
30 seconds? Okay.
In this laboratory, with the support of the Environmental Health Foundation, we are conducting research to explore differences in individual susceptibility to environmental toxins. We're focusing on lead. We're finding that different individuals with different genetic compositions are markedly dissimilar from each other in their susceptibility to lead, and that this dissimilarity can lead to very striking variation in the degree of injury that lead produces in the nervous system.
Each year, indoor air pollution costs America $1.5 billion in medical bills and tens of billions in lost productivity.
In this project, we were interested in trying to identify ways to study human beings who have problems from low levels of chemicals in the environment in indoor air, such as the kinds of individuals that might experience sick building syndrome. In sick building syndrome, people experience problems with mucous membrane irritation, with problems with their concentration and sometimes memory abilities. As you mentioned, we are studying real people who we recruited from the community, people who are working out there, who feel that they have difficulties with indoor air problems. We're obviously very grateful that the Environmental Health Foundation funded this groundbreaking research.
This is not a responsibility of scientists alone, or government alone, or industry. They all need to be there, but equally important, the public needs to participate.
We can fight environmental disease without compromising our industrial backbone. The key lies in laboratories across America. Not only can we improve our quality of life, but we can benefit our economy by reducing absenteeism and healthcare costs and increasing productivity and profits. It's a win-win situation for all of us.
Time and again throughout our history, we as a nation have united to overcome the impossible. Together we've seen eradication of diseases like polio. People fish again in waters once thought to be dead. Cities once cloaked in soot now proudly display clean skylines. And if that isn't enough, man landed on the moon. Today the call goes out again to unite to battle this silent epidemic.
The notion of actually forming a private-public partnership and actually creating public awareness of environmental health as a problem, there has never been anything quite like it.
3 to 4 different.
This is the only organization that I knew that is working at the grassroots level to involve the public in all the issues related to exposure to environmental chemicals, educating the public, helping support research activities to address important questions in environmental health sciences.
Environmental Health Foundation will be an important new colleague in the effort to not only identify the important areas of environmental health risk, but to help set an agenda for funding and for education and for influence.
We can bring down human suffering. And when I talk about numbers, 10%, 1.25 million cases, these aren't just bland numbers. We're talking about real people, mothers and fathers and sons and daughters and grandparents who are not living a healthy, normal life. And I want to have this partnership, the Environmental Health Foundation and the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences.
Children cannot choose their environment. We place them in an environment. We adults place them in an environment. And so that we have almost a sacred duty to them to say, we will provide for you, my child, a safe environment.
We can win the war against environmental diseases, but we can't succeed without your help. The time to act is now. Give generously to support vitally needed research to find treatments and breakthrough cures. Your contribution is tax deductible. Give your time and talent by volunteering for your local chapter prevention programs. We all need to join this fight and truly make a difference.
The way I see it, we all drink the same water, breathe the same air, and eat the same food. We all share the same home with no environmental borders. It's a beautiful home, this place we call Earth, and together we can now make it a better place for us all and create a healthier future for our children.